Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Friday Charge from the Geek podcast. We're your hosts, Joel and Sebastian. And today, March 14th, 2025, we've got a handful of topics on the docket, such as an update to the bZ4X that maybe makes it less terrible, Rivian launching some new driver's assistance features. What else I got here? Some cool stuff with the EV9 and a couple other topics. So without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, so our first topic of the night. The bZ4X and its siblings are getting a major overhaul. So we're going to start this conversation by just talking about the bZ4X, and it's probably pretty safe to say whatever we see them add to the bZ4X will be coming to the Solterra as well.
And Lexus?
We'll get there.
Okay, sorry. Go on.
After a few bumpy years, Toyota has released an overhaul to their bZ4X EV, and Toyota states they have listened to feedback from drivers, retailers, journalists, and others. So what's new? For starters, there's two new battery packs, a 57.7 kilowatt hour pack, and a 73.1 kilowatt hour pack. The smaller pack will only be available on the entry front-wheel drive models, with the larger pack available on both front-wheel and all-wheel drive models. Toyota claims that DC fast charging is up to 2 times faster, and I believe I saw someone throw around the 10 to 80 number of 30 minutes.
Woo!
Which, anyway, however, the peak speed remains unchanged, so they're still claiming a peak of 150 kilowatts. Additionally, there is now an optional 22 kilowatt AC charger for the vehicle, which seems excessive for a bZ4X.
Mm-hmm.
And 10 to 80 in 30 minutes is at least average. Kind of.
Ish. High average.
Ish. High average. Additionally, the vehicle has a redesigned front fascia and a new updated interior featuring a 14-inch infotainment system and a new instrument panel. On the software side, Toyota has updated their route planning to not only add on-route preconditioning, but you will also have the ability to manually precondition.
Ooh.
All right, automakers, if you're watching this, which, you know.
If the bZ4X can do it, you can do it.
If the bZ4X can have a button to manually precondition, you can too.
That's right.
Ford.
Ford.
If Toyotas can do it, anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it.
And so, yeah, so that is the cool new stuff for the bZ4X and presumably the Solterra.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about the Lexus, because the Lexus is also getting a lot of those goodies, and the new Lexus RZ is also going to be moving to steer-by-wire.
Ooh.
And they're giving it a yoke.
Yeah. Sebastian has experience driving a yoke, so...
Well, if they do steer-by-wire correctly, that won't be a big deal, because you won't ever need to do more than
it's like
that.
10 and 2. 10,
it
2,
won't be like
10,
the Model
2.
Y yoke or the Model S yoke where you have to do that and then there's nothing to grab onto. Otherwise, I didn't really see that many more updates to the RZ, and that's the one that probably sells the least anyway because it's the more expensive one, yada, yada, yada.
So,
I still think,
Sorry, go on. Finish. Sorry.
Go ahead. I wasn't going to say anything.
So, we're actually going to get a chance to, I think in the next couple weeks, review a Subaru Solterra. So, pretty cool. We've been pretty harsh on the Subaru Solterra and bZ4X. And we haven't driven one. So, cut us some slack, people. It's just what we've heard. So, we finally get to drive one. I will let you know this. So what we do before we review cars, we join the Facebook groups and talk to them about them and find out some stuff about them because they know a little more about them than we do. Saves us some research time. So these are some like diehard, like hardcore people, and I love it. You know, it's like Subaru, then it's the Ford people. Those are the diehards right there. You know, that love their EVs. Everyone who is in there said yes, it has crappy charging speed and the range is not good. But everything else about the car is really good. Like it drives well off-road. It has a high ground clearance. There's other things that they praise about it. And most of the people in the chat say it's a commuter car, which is what it is. It's a commuter car. It's like several steps above the Nissan Leaf is probably what I'm thinking, you know? it has its flaws, but for what it does well. So hopefully when we drive it, we'll experience it. Saying that, yes, it needs an update. We need to see some of these things that are coming to the Subaru Solterra. And I'm glad Toyota's kind of stepped it up. Actually, Toyota just kind of recently announced too that they have another entry-level EV coming to market soon. It's the C something, I forgot what it was.
Yeah,
CH?
so I didn't actually put this in here because I wasn't sure. It's not known if we're going to get that one in the US yet, but it's the CHR Plus.
Yes.
Which, Toyota, we've got to do something about these names.
Yes, too many letters.
You can't just slap the keyboard and say you're good.
Yes.
Like, we got to do something about these names.
It's like Solterra was good. That's good, but
that's a Subaru name.
Yeah,
that's not a Toyota name.
Yeah, bZ4X is just like, we're going to call it the QR7-773QZ4.
It's like, you can't have the bZ4X and then also now have the CHR, which technically does stand for something. It stands for, back when it was originally in the US market, which it's been discontinued and replaced with, I believe, the Corolla Cross. Anyway, CHR stood for Coupe High Rider, whatever that means.
If you're going to do letters and numbers, do it like Kia does. Like you have EV and then numbers. And the smaller you go, the smaller the car. The bigger you go, the bigger the car. So a 3 is smaller than a 9. So the 3 car is smaller than a 9. So that makes sense. So...
Yeah, which I mean, I think technically in other markets there's like a bZ4X, which is technically a sedan, but it still doesn't change. It's just when it's the only car in your lineup that's named like that, I guess technically, the RAV4. What is a RAV if not a keyboard smash? But it's also been around forever. But when every other car in your lineup has like an actual name,
Corolla, Camry,
Tacoma, Tundra,
Sequoia,
Forerunner. Yeah, anyway,
Prius.
But I did also read recently that they might be changing the name of it. So they might be getting rid of the bZ number X format. So we'll see.
Gotcha. But saying that, I'm excited about this upgrade. I'm excited about us getting the drive one because we have been harsh on the Subarus and the bZ4Xs. So maybe this will change our mind a little.
Yeah, so. And I mean, and I'm sure we'll get into it when we review it too. I think they've done a couple of things already to kind of make it an easier pill to swallow. Like for this current model year, they got cheaper.
Yep.
Because that was always the big thing. Is like when it launched, it was almost a $50,000.
Yeah, they're low
vehicle.
40s now, I think.
And so
high 30s.
If you're paying $50,000 for it, like why would you, right?
Yeah.
I can maybe forgive some of the flaws at the now lower. I think they're starting at like $38,000 now. It's like, okay, that's, as we have previously driven, that's Nissan Leaf money, and it's a better EV than a Nissan Leaf.
Yep.
At least it should be.
I believe the least we drove was what, 42, 44? So
more than 38.
It was 38? I thought it was more than that.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I'm old. So.
But anyway, I'm sure we'll find out plenty more when we finally get to drive one and get to play around with it and evaluate it from more than just kind of what we've read and what we've seen.
Yeah. So what people have said, it's great off-road. It has great ground clearance. It's great around town. It does what you're supposed to do. So hopefully we have those same things. And if we like it, we'll let you know.
Yep. All right, moving on. Rivian has launched hands-free driving. So Rivian has launched their new hands-free driver's assistance vehicle or feature to Gen 2 cars named Enhanced Highway Assist, and I will be referring to it as EHAW from now on.
Why?
You didn't even laugh? Come on now.
EHAW.
EHAW currently only works on select pre-mapped highways, and Rivian is, of course, planning to expand the roads the system works on as the year goes on. The system is using an infrared camera in the rearview mirror to monitor that the driver is paying attention, rather than requiring the driver to occasionally grab the wheel or some of the other ways we've seen cars do this in the past. In this same update, Rivian also added the ability for dual-motor R1 owners to upgrade their trucks over the air to the performance variant, unlocking up to 665 horsepower and 829 pound-feet of torque. This upgrade does cost $5,000, but it's cool that you can do it after the fact.
Yep.
And I believe that's pretty much in line with what it would cost. Like if you were buying a new R1 and you wanted to go from, say, just the dual motor to the dual performance, I believe that's around a $5,000 upgrade just normally. So like the pricing makes sense. But it's cool to see that, since we've known the whole time, that's just a software lock, a software limitation, right?
Yep.
It's cool to see now that you can, if you change your mind later, and you're like, you know what, maybe my 4.5 second 0 to 60 truck isn't fast enough and I want that 3 point whatever.
Yeah.
I'll spend $5,000 for it and there you go. And it also adds a couple more drive modes too, as long with that. Like you get, I think, like a rally mode and track mode and all that jazz.
Yep.
Yeah, I just thought the fact that Rivian is actually moving towards EHAW is cool. I do still think it sucks that. Sorry, I do still kind of think it sucks that it's only pre-mapped, right?
So it's similar to like Blue Cruise and things like that.
Like
so
Blue Cruise, Super Cruise, which I mean, those systems work well, but it's competing against FSD, which FSD
take you driveway to driveway
everywhere.
So yeah.
In theory, you still need to pay attention, of course, but
they don't have the toggle anymore. As long as you're looking straight ahead, you're good to go. Actually, I used it this morning, driving just to see how it worked, and I have a 30-minute drive, no issues. I looked straight ahead, no toggles, so no, toggles on the steering wheel, so we were good to go.
Yep. All right, so Ford has finished out I can't talk.
Wow.
Ford has finished sending out their free adapters. So Ford has sent out all of its free NACS adapters to eligible owners, totaling right around 140,000 adapters.
It's impressive.
This took Ford roughly a year to accomplish, and there were a few different variations of the adapters as the production continued. They started with the kind of Tesla official OEM adapter, and then Ford co-developed one with Electron for their own use. So it's like the Electron Vortex plug, but with more tweaks to it, in addition to adding their logo that Ford has then now started shipping. And Ford is now selling its in-house adapter that it developed with Electron in their Ford accessory shop for $200. And anyone can buy this. You don't have to be a Ford owner to buy it. It'll work with any CCS equipped car. But yeah, I just thought it was cool to see that they shipped out 140 grand or 140,000 adapters, which if you think, of course, I know that's not what they're paying for it, but 140,000 times.
If they're spending half, I mean, if it's cost them $100, I mean, that's a lot of
$28 million worth of adapters at retail price.
It's a lot of change.
But yeah, anyway, and on the subject of Ford EVs, and also not Ford EVs, Apple has added NACS to its native CarPlay routing. So Apple Maps EV routing has finally added the ability to route to Tesla superchargers in Ford EVs, allowing owners to select if they have an adapter or not before they set up their routes. Still missing, however, is the ability for Ford's EVs to route to Tesla superchargers from Ford's native navigation,
which I wouldn't worry about. Not to work.
And I wouldn't worry about that, except, as we've mentioned earlier in the show, currently the only way to activate preconditioning on Ford EVs is to use the native route planner or to use Google Maps on an Android phone connected through Android Auto.
Yeah,
allegedly, Apple Maps will be getting the ability to also precondition at some point, but it doesn't exist yet.
So we've had a lot of these same issues with the cars that have Apple CarPlay in routing to Tesla superchargers. So have we got any of it? I mean, have we got any of them to work or not? Did the Chevys work or the Volvos?
The Volvos native Google Maps
would
route to superchargers.
Okay, got you.
I don't know that we've seen a GM vehicle do it yet, but I've been told by we've talked to somebody with a Lyric who said that it did it.
Yeah.
I haven't confirmed that yet or not. Unfortunately, when we drive these, usually they're in demo mode, so they're not fully set up. You can't sign into Google Maps or anything, and I think some of those settings are locked behind you being signed into your account.
Yep.
So unfortunately, we can't do much more than just whatever the key up lets you do, which, I mean, it does route plan, but it doesn't let you go in necessarily and set up your payment filters.
You can choose Teslas when the supercharger, but it still won't route to it. That's what we've done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm assuming that must be something to do with it doesn't know you have an adapter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do know for a fact the Volvos did it.
Yeah. That did,
which was nice.
We tested that, yes.
Yeah, which was nice.
Yeah, this is cool. I mean, any way to make supercharging more available and easier, that's awesome, because we noticed when we would play with these route systems, and they did route, we always put, if you ever watch our videos, we say we're going to Austin, and it routes it for us. Because it's not hitting the Tesla supercharge network, sometimes the stops are longer than they have to be. So it's you need to be here for 52 minutes. Well, I really don't need to be there for 52 minutes because I know, 90 miles down the road, there's a Tesla supercharger, but it's not picking up that Tesla supercharger in the app.
Right.
So people like you and me, we know that's there. But if I'm new, I'm not very familiar with that. That person will be stuck in that supercharger for 50-some minutes. So yeah, just hopefully this gets rolled out quicker. So, because that's one of the things people want to do is supercharge, or that's one of the holdbacks is people want to be able to charge and when they're on the road, and it just can't do it yet on some of these things. You gotta get that route planning better. But it is better.
Yep.
I will say it's better than the Kia, because the Kia route planning is just horrible. Speaking of Kia, go.
The EV9 has gained vehicle-to-home capability, if you can afford it. So the EV9 finally has a home energy system available that allows the vehicle to be used for true vehicle-to-home, if you can afford it.
If you can afford
Earlier this week, EVSE manufacturer Wallbox announced their Quasar 2 EVSE, which is the first EVSE that allows the EV9 to offload electricity. The Quasar 2 charger also needs what Wallbox is calling a power recovery unit that enables the vehicle-to-home functionality, and Wallbox claims the system can provide backup power for up to 3 days. But there's one really, really big elephant in the room.
One big but.
The price for the EVSE and the power unit together is $6,440. And that cost is only for the hardware.
Considering what? And I could be wrong in this. Powerwall installation somewhere between 10 and 15. So I'd probably, with that price, I would just bite the bullet and probably just do a Powerwall installation if I had to. In fact, because I already have solar. I already have solar, so for me, I would just go ahead and do that. Considering I don't know if I'll always. Now, will this same box work with other manufacturers that have vehicle to load?
Let's just finish the talking points that we know for certain, and then we'll theorize and speculate.
Gotcha. Okay.
Wallbox is claiming that the unit can save you up to $1,500 a year by integrating with time of use programs, allowing the home to be powered from the vehicle during times when electric rates are higher, and then switching back to the grid automatically when rates are lowest, and then recharging the battery once it's switched. The system can also tie into solar if you have it.
Okay, cool.
So, Joel, your question: will this work with other vehicles?
Yeah, say I have an EV9 and I decide I'm going to go out and buy a Volvo, or who else does vehicle to load? Let's just say a Rivian.
An F-150 Lightning.
Yeah, F-150 Lightning. So yes, I buy an F-150 Lightning. Can I bring it home and plug it in and it works the same?
Nobody knows, because
nobody knows.
The vehicle-to-home situation is a hot mess.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Tesla, who's doing, they call power share on Cybertruck. Their system is just offloading straight AC power out of a truck.
Mm-hmm.
You have Ford, who does Pro Power, or whatever, I don't remember what they call the vehicle-to-home part. They are using DC power out of the vehicle. And then, so they're actually using the 2 pins on the bottom so the Ford Power Pro, I can't remember the name of the charger,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. It uses an actual CCS1 connection instead of a normal J1772.
Okay.
And when you're normally charging, it's just doing the AC charging on the AC part of the plug. But if you have the vehicle-to-home stuff set up and equipped, if it kicks in, it sends power over the DC pins to the inverter that's part of the Ford Charge Station Pro or power system, whatever, flips the transfer switch, blah, blah, blah. This system looks like it's also using CCS, so I believe it will be using the DC pins and offloading DC to the inverter, which I'm assuming is the power recovery unit, and then that will convert to AC power that your house can use. However, the other difficult thing about this stuff is there's communication that happens during this, right? And I don't know that all of these EV
are going to talk to each other.
For example, if the F-150 Lightning and the EV9 are both using DC vehicle to home, do they talk the same language to where you could take your EV9 and hook up to a Ford Charge Station Pro? And can you take your F-150 Lightning and hook up to the Quasar 2? I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I haven't heard of anyone trying that or doing that. And if the EV9 has supported vehicle to home this whole time and it's just been missing the right EVSE, surely there's someone out there who has a Ford Charge Station Pro or a Ford Lightning and an EV9 who would have tested this already or tried it, right? You would think. Maybe not. Maybe
if not, maybe we'll have it come up here. Someone
else.
Maybe
we'll see that soon. Now that this announcement's been made, I don't know. And I think it's interesting too. So when Wallbox has advertised this, they are specifically advertising it to EV9 owners.
Okay.
They're not advertising it for any other EVs, which makes me think they know it only works with the EV9.
Yeah.
And that's where this vehicle to home stuff is so cool to me.
Yes, but it's
because then you have
so
GM that's doing the power shift stuff, which I believe was also using DC. I could be wrong on that one. But then they want you to use their GM energy charger, which is also like $10,000. And it's like, it's so cool, but if there's no interoperability between it, and you only owe your car for 4 years, 5 years,
it's a
which,
wash.
let's face it, it's kind of a long time for an EV owner. It seems like a lot of EV owners are switching cars every 2 to 3 years
because they're leasing,
because they're doing leasing.
Yep.
Right. And so if you're only going to have your car for 3 years, why would you spend $10,000 on a charger that you don't know if it'll work on your next EV?
Well, if it's saving you $1,500 a year, that's generous. You would need 4 years to break even. So, yeah. That's good math.
So then you finally break even, you trade your car in, you get a new car. It doesn't work with a vehicle to home stuff because it uses a different language.
Now you got a brick $6,000 unit.
And now you have a $6,500 charger that you just use to charge your car, and it doesn't do anything else.
Yeah. I think this is the next step that need to make progress. And, it took us years to make sure we were all using the same adapters and ports and all that. And we finally have that figured out. Not everyone switched over yet, but everyone will be switching over here the next, 2 years. The vehicle to load stuff is just going to, I think it's a little more complicated. It's going to take years to just kind of sort itself out, considering it's not in very high demand right now. I mean, only your hardcore people who can afford it are doing it. I mean, I have a Kia EV6, and if our power goes out, I'm just going straight, with my connector into the charge port and just going to pull it directly from there. Just pull AC directly from there. For the time my power goes out, that's all I need it for. I don't need it. I don't need a $6,500 unit in case my power goes out one day a year. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that was the other thing too, is, they said it would only provide power for up to 3 days. The EV9 has like a 99 kilowatt hour battery pack?
Yep.
So are they saying that you would, is the limitation that the car will run out of battery, or is the limitation that the system will only operate for 3 days?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you were being truly frugal with your energy use,
just,
you can stretch
refrigerator, microwave, and that's it.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like you can stretch 99 kilowatt hours for longer than 3 days.
Yeah. And
it feels weird that they would advertise it such a short number if the system can operate for, you could keep your house online for a week, or, whatever. It's like, if you could theoretically do that, you would think that's how they would advertise it.
Yeah, because you're not running everything. Right. We have a little gas generator in our garage, and if electricity went out, we plug in our fridge, and if we needed to use the microwave, we'd unplug the fridge for about 5 minutes, plug the microwave in, and use it. We had like a fan or a space heater on, and that was it. Because chances are, if you're out of power, you might be out of cable or internet too as well. At least it was back in the older days. So yeah, I mean, 99 kilowatts should get you longer in a blackout than 3 days.
Yeah. Anywho, all right, Joel, what have we driven recently?
Let's see here. So that would have been last weekend. What did we drive last weekend? I'm drawing a blank. Sebastian, give me a hint.
You already forgot.
Time change. I already forgot. This time change is killing me.
Wow. So we started Saturday.
Polestar 2. There we go. Polestar 2. There we go. I'm telling you, it's been a rough week. This time change is brutal. So we started with the Polestar 2. So what do you think? What do you think about that car?
Oh man.
It was a 2020. It was a 2021. So it was an older model. It was used.
2022?
Courtesy of Evolve Auto. And they had it for like 3 days and sold it. So that car is already
It was actually, not to correct you, I'm so sorry. It was a 2022.
2022.
Because I remember every time I read it and heard it, it's a 2022 Polestar 2. Dual motor,
long range.
And so I was like, man, that's a lot of twos.
Yep. So it was used. You got it for a great deal, and it lasted. So if you go to look, if you see the video, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go buy that. It's sold. Sorry, it's gone. But we did get the
it lasted all of 2 days.
I think he got it on a Friday and sold it on a Monday. I honestly think that's what happened. So when I went there Monday afternoon to check out something, he said it had already been sold. It was already sold and gone, and we test drove it Saturday.
Yeah.
So it was gone.
So the Polestar 2, man,
It has so much potential.
It had so much potential.
Could have been someone.
And
Could have
I
been a
don't want to
star.
spoil. I don't want to spoil too much because I
Yep.
want people to go watch the video. But it's almost perfect is a strong word. It was almost perfect, man.
Almost. That close.
It's stinking close. The powertrain tuning on that thing was excellent. Like its regen, its one pedal behavior was awesome. The way it like handled like throttle control was excellent. Like all of that was so good. And then you just like
some weird quirky stuff with the interior. We're not gonna give too much with the interior.
The longer I sat in it, the more I wanted to get out.
Yes. Sebastian did most of the driving in, and he had some issues with the floorboard, and I had some issues with the floorboard, and
it was just so. I was
arms up, and
yes,
you feel kind of like if you're claustrophobic, it's probably not the car for you. So,
which is weird because it's not a small car.
No, it's a big car, but the way it's designed, the ergonomics, you just feel like.
Yeah. So
like
I mean,
yeah,
because you go to put your arm like when you're driving, you go to rest your arm. And you either have to rest it on the door panel, like where the armrest is supposed to be, but it's all the way down here.
Yep.
Or you go up on the windowsill, but the windowsill is up here and it's at an angle, and it angles down, so you can't get your arm on it super well.
Yep.
And then on the passenger side, the floor is flat and narrow and kind of high.
So your feet are your feet are like this at all times, and that's about as far apart as you can get them.
Because and your like legs narrows. Are like 90 degrees out.
Yes, it's just some weird ergonomic things with it. The word of the day is ergonomics. On the driver's side,
the floor is like that same still, but then right where the pedals are, it dips down.
Yep.
So that you have room to move your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Except that only gives you room to move your feet side to side. You cannot move your feet back.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you hit the hump,
and you fall back down.
And so like. Yeah. And then you fall back down. And so, like, when I was out on the highway and I turned on cruise control and I wanted to pull my foot back a little bit because I didn't need it touching the gas pedal, the go pedal, sorry.
Yeah.
I couldn't move my knee back because A, I was hitting the hump, and B, because of the way I had to sit the seat so that I was comfortable, if I moved my foot back any too much further, my knee was going to be hitting the back of the damn steering wheel.
Yeah. It's just weird little quirky things like that, which I don't know, and we probably researchers, I don't know if they fixed in the 2024s, don't know, but I'm guessing probably not. I don't think it went through a major refresh. I think it did some internal stuff with the 2024s with battery and charging and things like that. So, inside would still be the same. But it was an awesome. I mean, if you like Volvos, this is very Volvo-ish. In fact, we even made the comment that why have a Polestar brand? Just make this a Volvo sedan. Do you have something in your room over there, Sebastian? Do you have like
apparently? I keep hearing something move behind me, and it's a little concerning.
So if Sebastian starts screeching in a little bit, you know that in his room in his little outdoor area that he records in, there's something there. So every once in a while, if you're not watching, if you're listening on audio, every once in a while, Sebastian like starts looking around frantically, like.
I just keep hearing like something crackle or pop behind me. I'm like, I don't know what it is. Anyway.
All right, car number two was the
Honda Prologue.
Honda Prologue, yes. It's all coming back to me now. So yes, Honda Prologue. So we have driven the Blazer, which is its cousin, because, Altia makes the Honda cars. Sister, cousin.
I think it's more of a sibling than a cousin.
Sibling,
anyway.
First cousin, whatever you want to call it. We're in Arkansas, you call it whatever you want.
We're in Arkansas, that could be the same thing.
Could be the same person. Oh God, it's going to kill us. Anyways, we've driven a Blazer, we've driven a Prologue. Personally, for me, I was more impressed with the Prologue. So even though it's the same car, design-wise, how it looked, how different things are made, the front grille, the back with the word Honda spelled out, I just preferred the Prologue. That's just me.
Yeah, so again, not to give too much away,
Yep.
I understand now why the Prologue has been in the top 5 selling EVs for the last couple months.
Yep.
It makes sense. If you've driven a gas Honda before and you know how a Honda looks and a Honda drives, Prologue is the exact same way.
Yep.
Now, there's some things that the Blazer does better. There's some things that the Honda does better. And really, it's up to you to decide if that matters.
Yep. Because
for example,
it's just what you prefer. I mean,
for example, this is one thing that I've called out in the video because I noticed really quick. We drove an Elite trim, so top of the line, and I was like, huh, weird, this doesn't have Super Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
So then I go and look it up later. You can't get the Prologue with Super Cruise. You can get the Blazer with Super Cruise.
Mm-hmm.
But because the Prologue is an Ultium vehicle, and it's using the GM driver's assistance, it suffers the same flaw that GM vehicles do, where if you don't get Super Cruise, you don't get lane centering.
Mm-hmm.
You get lane keep, which just ping-pongs you around.
It was a windy day we did this video on.
Yeah.
So the ping pong was aggressive.
Yeah. Some people won't care about that.
Yep.
But for other people, the driver's assistance is a major part of your buying decision.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're cross-shopping the Blazer with the Prologue, that might be enough to push you over to the Blazer.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side, the Blazer kind of has a funny look to the front end.
Mm-hmm.
The Prologue looks like a Honda SUV.
It looks like a CRV. Is what it looks like in the front. Yep.
And that's not a bad thing. It's a good-looking car. It's a plain, good-looking car.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing. Whereas the Blazer kind of has some weird hips and front end design. And on the interior, the Blazer has it's like the gas Blazer, which has the Camaro inspired interior, where you get the round air vents and the big unified cockpit screen, and everything's kind of tilted towards the drive. It has more of that sporty feeling. The Prologue on the inside feels like you're driving a CRV. You've got the upright screen, you've got your separate gauge cluster, hard black plastic material, but it's like not hard in a cheap way. It's hard in it's
Honda
going to
way.
outlast the rest of the car way, in a Honda way.
In a Honda way.
And so it's like I understood though how if you were going into your car dealership to buy a CRV and you were curious about the electric thing, I could see how they would put you in the Prologue. Everything would feel completely normal to you.
Yep.
And you'd be like, okay, I'm sold. I'll buy it.
Yep. As someone who's driven 3 Hondas in their lifetime, who has owned 3 Hondas, it felt like driving those same Hondas. I mean, it's simple as electric. So Sebastian, he may prefer the Blazer. I would prefer the Honda, and just for the little things like that, nothing major, because everything else is pretty much the same. Charging curve, range.
Yep.
Pretty much all that's going to be exactly the same. So
Yep. Yeah. And really, for me, ultimately, it would just boil down to, if I was buying one in that high of a trim level, I would probably want all the driver's assistance stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was buying a lower trim level where on the Blazer it also doesn't come with Super Cruise, then it would probably just boil down to which one I could get cheaper.
Yep. Did not like the wheels, the rims on the lower end models of the
the 6-spoke kind of just very
it was
flat
beside
silver.
us. It looked like a work truck is what it looked like. There was a lower end one parked next to the one that we had. I was like, I don't like those. I'd rather have these wheels on those guts, but you can't do that. So I think that's all we driven last week. Yep,
that's it.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Well, that is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you for plugging into the Friday Charge. Be sure to subscribe to the EV Geek podcast on YouTube and tap that notification icon to be notified about new releases. Next week, we will release our review of the Ioniq 5N, which was fun. And this weekend, we are hosting our second Cars and Coffee of the year at Leva's Roastery in Roland, which is over by Pinnacle Mountain if you're from Arkansas. We'd love for you to come by and join us. It's from 9 to 11 a.m. You can additionally, if you want, completely optional, for $20, Leva's will give you a tour of the roastery and give you some coffee and a bag of their grounds to take home and brew yourself.
Which is good coffee.
It is good coffee. If you have any thoughts or questions, drop them in the comments below because we would love to hear from you. So long, everyone, and we will see you on the next episode of The Friday Charge.